Sometimes, particularly working with large lists, you might want to see information from different parts of this list, and they might be hundreds of rows apart. On this worksheet called Split Screen, in the workbook called 08 Worksheet Views, in this list, there's a training group. There are actually 2 or 3 different training groups. We might want to be viewing the people's names from one group as well as those in the other group. And maybe those others are found down in row 500. These are around row 95. So what can we do here? There's a feature called Split. And we can split the screen either horizontally, allowing us to scroll independently above or below that split line. Also, we can do it vertically. Let's first look at the horizontal version. This begins with this idea. We can be anywhere on the screen, but let's click over in column A, roughly halfway down. Then, on the View tab, choose Split. Notice how it introduces a vertical line. And off to the right, we've got 2 scroll bars. So, in the top scroll bar, I'm going to click the drop arrow over there, or drag the box, and I'm scrolling through the list. Keep clicking that arrow over there. And I forget where the data is, so I'm looking for it. There it is. I want some of those admin training names to appear there. And meanwhile, I've got another list. I think it's around row 500. So in the lower portion of the screen, I've got that other scroll bar over there. I'm going to drag that down into row 500 or thereabouts. And somewhere in there, so I'm scrolling now with the mouse to find those records. There we are. I want to see these together. I could zoom back now if I wanted to also. But we're looking at completely different part of the same worksheet at the same time. That's going to be really handy at times. So after reviewing the data or using it for presentation purposes, we can get rid of the split. We can either double click the line if we wish, or simply go back to the split command and the feature's gone. Now, at other times, you might want to split the screen left-right. Probably not as commonly used, but maybe you've got some data with lots of columns and you're making a presentation. You want to pull data together from different portions without necessarily hiding columns, something like that. Here too, we sort of arbitrarily click, this time in the top row, about halfway over or so. Split, that introduces a vertical split. And now we've got 2 scroll bars at the bottom for either side. On the left side, we can scroll left and right without disturbing what's happening on the right side. On the right side, we can do the same kind of thing. So we're seeing columns A and J close to one another here, but they're actually different portions of the screen. And this is a little bit odd because we've got them, in the wrong order, so to speak. But it's viable and you can work with it. We can move this line back and forth when necessary if we want to do that. Sometimes that makes sense, sometimes not. Here too, if we no longer want to use the feature, we'll double click the line or go back to the split command. Now, some people discover this feature in a way, and I remember doing it myself once. I had the active cell somewhere in the middle of the screen, and I click split. I'm trying to remember whether I did it on purpose or not, but if you do click split and you're not on the edge of the data, either top or left, we see a 4-way split. And that means 2 scroll bars on the right side and 2 on the bottom. And this is almost a recipe for chaos. I'm going to scroll on the upper portion right now, and then down the lower portion, just like we saw earlier, and then scroll independently on the right side or the left side. And it's kind of confusing, I think. To prove a point, I'm not sure how major this point is likely to be, but in the upper left corner here, I've got cell A1. In the lower right quadrant, I'm going to click one of these cells, double click the bottom edge, come to the bottom, control down arrow. That's the very last row in any Excel worksheet. Control right arrow. There we are in the extreme lower right-hand corner. If you can see that cell and cell A1 at the same time, what does that say? We could see any 2 cells in the worksheet at the same time by way of this feature. But how often are you going to need that? Probably not very often. We can get rid of the 4-way split by double-clicking the intersection, or simply, as we've been doing, go back to the split command. So click, click, it's gone. Sometimes it doesn't work so smoothly. Double-click. You got to be careful not to move the mouse as you do it. Double-click. There we go. So it's a feature you're more likely to use to split the screen horizontally. That was the first example we saw. Maybe not quite as often to split it vertically, but the split 4-way, not so often. But it's a feature that does give you that capability of seeing data in different parts of the worksheet at the same time.